First movie review that we are going to talk about is the movie Permanent. You did not see this movie. This
Mm-mm.
was one that I actually watched on demand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I pulled this one. I actually saw like an advertisement for it on Facebook and thought it looked interesting just from the thumbnail. Or not from the thumbnail, but I guess the picture that was posted. It was like an awkward family photo style picture with Rainn Wilson, what's her name, Patricia Arquette, and can you pull up the movie Permanent on IMDb on there? I'm
Sure.
trying to pull it up so I can get everybody's names correct on here. I usually have everything ready to go for this, and I do not at the time. So
That's why I'm here to help.
thank you. I'm just trying to do everything at once here. Okay, here we go.
Well, he
Sorry,
beat me.
sorry. You go ahead and you can pull it up on there too, because it's better to read on there.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to.
Kira McLean.
What's that?
Kira McLean.
Well, yeah. The Kira McLean, who was the daughter in this movie. That was the three that were in the picture that I saw, the photograph of the awkward family photo. And it was just advertised on Facebook, and I said, "Oh, that looks really interesting." Rainn Wilson movies are always really cool. So I went ahead and pulled it up on YouTube, which they had it to where you can stream it from there. So that's where I watched it, and it was really, really funny. It was a very interesting movie. What are you doing?
I'm trying to put it in like a kickstand mode.
Oh yeah, it's not very good at doing that.
I'm noticing that. So that's just.
Let's just lay it flat like it was.
That's what I'm going to do. Cause bye.
There we go.
I'm done.
Anyways, so what this movie is about? It's set in 1982. In just it just says pretty much anywhere in Virginia is what is how they set this movie, which was really funny because it did look a lot like some of the areas in Virginia that I've been to. So I didn't really know that it was actually shot in Virginia. So I looked that up and saw that it was actually shot out near Richmond, which is not too far from where we are right here in Hampton. So I thought that was really interesting. And then, anyways, so as far as the story goes, oh, man.
An ad popped up. I'm trying to take care of it.
Dang, there we go. Okay. So the movie's set in 1982. It's about a family that just moved to this area in Virginia. The dad, who's played by Rainn Wilson, was a steward for Air Force One. He was he was in the Air Force. So I guess he retires. They don't necessarily say, but either way, he's changing careers now to work in the medical field. So he gets a scholarship at, I believe it says a religious school in Virginia, and that's basically the setup so far. So they put them in this setting, and the daughter, like I said, who's played by Kira McLean, is having to adjust to going to a new school, meeting all these new people. And she notices that a lot of the girls in this area, and it's this new trend, at the time was a new trend, were getting their hairs permed.
I wondered where the term why you were describing the story. I said, wait, where's permanent coming into play? Perms.
Right.
Got it.
So the family does not come from a lot of money. They're, like I said, they're adjusting to this new lifestyle, is going to school, so they don't have a lot of money to pay for her to get her hair permed. So they take her to a beauty school and let a student take care of her perm, which was a pretty big mistake because she has to rock this really interesting do for the rest of the film. And it's really charming movie. There's a lot of really funny parts, a lot of clever writing, and the characters are likable. All these characters are really likable. Rainn Wilson is believable as the dad that kind of relates a little more to the daughter, but the mom really seems to be taking this transition the hardest. So she feels like her husband isn't quite living up to his potential that he can, and he realizes that, but doesn't try to let it bother him too much, but it bothers her a little bit more because she doesn't see him relating to her much or noticing these issues that she has.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a lot more artistic, where he's a little more straight edge than he is. He's got that whole military
type A, type B,
type B personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So there's a lot of personality clash, which makes for an interesting dramatic dynamic between the two of them. And then, but the situations that the daughter goes through, she's trying to help keep the parents happy, and while also trying to get through her time at this new school, where she gets bullied now because of this haircut, and she makes some friends with this African American girl that's theirs, who's at this time is actually being bullied because of race. So there's also some racial tones in this, or notes in this movie that are, which is interesting. So now there's some parts where you can tell that this movie was made on a really tight budget, but they cleaned it up really well. So there's some pretty funny like fight scenes between. I want to call it like a fight scene because she goes to a karate school. The daughter goes to a karate school, which is they're going on a free trial basis, so they're not actually paying, and it's really not like a real legitimate karate, seemed like anyway. School that she goes to learn to fight, and her fight. I don't want to spoil it because her technique for fighting is pretty funny, and it receives a really funny reaction from one of the characters in the movie, who's like the main bully, who's played by Kaylee Jo Keller, which was really she had a pretty funny reaction to this Keira McLean character's fighting technique. That I think is probably the funniest line in the entire movie, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to spoil what she says. You guys need to definitely check out the movie Permanent. If you have checked it out, which I don't know, it's getting a lot of love at some of the film festivals it's been playing at. But as far as it being picked up everywhere else, it's not. I don't see it getting a lot of acknowledgement, which is pretty sad because it's a really good movie. So guys, if you have not checked out Permanent, make sure you check it out. It's a very funny movie, very charming, really nice little indie film for you guys to see, and it's got a lot of people in it that I didn't know were from this area. And I know Zach is friends with some of the characters' family, which is pretty cool. One of the characters in the movie. I'm not gonna say who, but it's pretty cool. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and move on to what's
Score?
up. Oh, score. I forgot we score movies here, right?
Yeah, you talk about a movie and then move on to the next one. Okay, score.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. The half is the third act isn't
as sharp as
it needed to be, but it still pays off nicely. But still, 9.5 out of 10. So guys, like I said, 9.5 out of 10. If you know how I score movies, that's a pretty high score. So definitely go check out Permanent.